From the Middle is a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode number 293 of From the Middle. This week, we're two middle class guys living in the middle of America in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle. No, Corey's not dead, he's just traveling. And Kendall and I have a great time talking about recommendations from your local servers, what makes a good omelet. We talk a little bit about sauce etiquette at fast food restaurants, and a sport you might never have heard of because we sure hadn't. We hope that you'll love this episode. Check it out.
Oh, for the love.
Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved. From the Middle after dark over here.
Okay, Kendall, I have a question for you. Corey's not here, so your opinion is the only one that matters in this moment.
Wow.
I know. Very exciting.
That's the first time that's ever happened to me, and I don't know. I'm not sure if I can handle it, Dillon.
Well, look, normally it's like what is it, 40, 40, 20. You and Corey are 40 each, and I'm about 20. But this week, it's like 100% you. So that math doesn't math, but where I grew up in the school system I grew up in, that maths. So, so I just got back we went to Indianapolis to visit some family.
Yeah.
And stayed at a hotel we normally stay at. Always enjoy the experience. They've got a really great hot breakfast buffet.
Okay, good.
Which is always good, really good.
Yeah.
For a hotel, especially because it's still included. They could easily charge for it, and I would pay for it. Because it's really solid, but it's still included. So we like staying there. Anyways, we decide one night. Normally, we don't eat there for any meal that's not breakfast. We decide one night we're just going to have dinner there. And we had forgotten we had tried the dinner from there before, but as room service, it didn't come back to me in the moment, good or bad. It just didn't. So I'm just thinking, oh, let's just try. They have a good breakfast. So we go down, we're looking at the menu, and I'm staring at different options, and the street tacos are calling out my name. Sounds good. You can get beef, you can get chicken with pineapple, or you can get fish with a sweet chili lime sauce.
Okay.
The fish sounds good, but I'm just not sure. It's a hotel and it's fish. I'm not 100% sure.
There's something about fish and question marks that makes you go, maybe not the fish.
Maybe not the fish. So I'm questioning the fish, or maybe the beef, or the chicken. I don't think I want chicken and pineapple, so I'm leaning that. Anyways, somebody else orders fish and chips. And the server goes, oh, great. Like indicating to me, oh, the fish and chips are a popular, good option.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, cool. They ordered before me. She gave them a positive sign for the fish.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to order the fish tacos. So I order the fish tacos, and there's a side, and I'm kind of in the mood for soup. It's cold out. So I say, hey, what soups do you have? And she says, chili and corn chowder. And I went, oh, corn chowder. That would kind of go with the tacos, right? She said, I don't recommend it. And I said, the chili or the corn chowder? Because now I'm like, I got to clarify, because that was a very strong, don't go this route. She said, the corn chowder. It's disgusting. And I said,
Wow.
I really appreciate your honesty. And so I'm glad she steered me that direction. I'm also thinking if the fish was bad, she would tell me, because I got that level of honesty on the corn chowder. So I'm like, great, I'll take the chili then for sure. And so she comes back out and tells the other people who had ordered fish, hey, so sorry, we don't have enough fish for all three entrees. We only have enough to do the tacos. The other people will have to reorder. Now I'm a little concerned again because I'm thinking, am I going to get the bottom of the barrel fish that's just enough left over to not do a whole
Yeah.
fish and chips platter? And I'm just going to get these little kind of whatever crusty old pieces of fish, maybe soured, whatever. Now I'm concerned, but I feel like it's too late to change my order and I'm too Midwest polite, so I don't say anything.
Of course.
I should have just said right then, hey, go ahead and scratch the fish tacos. I'll just have what they're having. And so I didn't. So they came out and I started with the chili because I always try to end on the best tasting food. And so I'm thinking I'll start with the chili because maybe the fish tacos will still be good. And chili wasn't for me. And I have the fish tacos, and I just want to tell you, I kind of like salty foods. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I don't put extra salt on my food if I'm not cooking. If I'm just served something, I'll just kind of go with what I'm given. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't mind things a little salty. This fish was salty. I mean, a snail would have puckered up just looking at it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like not good.
It would have shriveled and died.
It would have just being in the vicinity, the saltiness in the air would be like a pirate boat out on the open ocean. So not good. So now I'm curious why she was so adamant against the corn chowder and how bad did that have to be that she didn't say anything about the fish tacos, but she made sure to tell me the corn chowder was disgusting. So not a great dinner experience. I like chili a lot. It was way too sweet and spicy at the same time. It's like somebody dumped sugar and cinnamon and hot chilies in the chili all at the same time. And it was not good. So I don't think anyone's going to be shocked to hear that the summary of the story is maybe don't eat dinner at a hotel. But there's a lot to that. And I'm raising my hand apparently on Zoom, but not
Yes.
really if you're
Zoom
following.
likes that you're doing that.
I'm going to put my hand down.
Or it's mocking you. I don't know which it is.
Yeah, I probably both. So that's a long way to say maybe don't eat at the hotel, but I did really genuinely appreciate the server's recommendation. How do you feel about that? Will you let a server significantly sway your opinion on dinner, especially if they're that strong about their recommendation?
Absolutely. If with no more information, depending on what it is I'm ordering, I might ask for clarifying information. So for example, maybe she really likes salty corn chowder and there's not enough salt in the corn chowder. But she's like, but the fish tacos, let me tell you, those will get your nose sniffling.
You're
That's
gonna
not a salty thing.
pucker up in joy after taking a bite of these little salty little fishies.
That's I think that if it was I would probably ask why. If it was something that like, but I really want it. So can you like tell me, is it because you think it's too spicy? Is it because what is it about it? But I think fish tacos, if she would have said no on the fish tacos, I wouldn't have it any follow-ups because I probably don't want to hear it at that point.
Yeah. You can't imagine how long they let that meat sit out back there.
And it being at the bottom of the barrel, I'm guessing that they're not like 100% on top of rotating their stock. So who knows if it's been a few days since they've gotten to the bottom of the fish barrel, then maybe that fish has been there since before then. And it's been hanging out at the bottom instead of getting rotated back up to the top. You know what I mean? So it could have been really old. And I can just imagine it. In my head, that's what's happening. And in the kitchen, the cooks are just like, should we use the bottom of the fish barrel? And they're like, just throw enough salt on it and it'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's what they're doing. Man, I feel have we talked about we've talked about server recommendations before and like asking them what they want or what they would suggest, which I don't know why we do it. When I'm at a table and somebody asks the server what to get, just blindly, not like A or B, which one should I get, but just like, what can I get for you guys? And then your first response is, what would you recommend?
Yeah.
And then they say something that you don't want. And so then it's like, why'd you ask?
Yeah, I don't play that game. A long time ago, I pivoted to the strategy of I'm going to narrow it down to two options. And if I really can't decide, then I'm going to say, what do people like more?
Yeah.
This one or this one? And that's my question. Is there
Yeah.
ever any part of you that feels like, let me clarify. I think most servers will just shoot straight with you most of the time.
Yeah.
But is there ever anybody that you feel like, I think they're just trying to push the fish that's almost off?
There's you and I have both worked in sales, and so we both probably know the very type A over enthusiastic salesperson who's like trying to hit all the numbers before anyone else does, and which isn't a bad thing in and of itself, but like there's a weird salesmanshipy thing about them. Like they don't seem real. They don't seem like a real person. And sometimes I've had those kinds of people, it seems, as servers.
Yeah.
And if I get that vibe from a server, then their opinion probably matters relatively little to me because I'm probably not going to believe it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't want Carla to upsell me the lettuce wraps because they're the highest margin item. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So it could be something along those lines. But by and large, I feel like servers are very down to earth, blue collar people like us, and they're like you said, they're going to shoot you straight. And I would typically trust them. And if they were steering me away from the thing that I wanted, like without me even prompting, right? So like in your case, you just asked for you didn't ask for the opinion. They just said, yeah, maybe don't do that. I would probably maybe don't do that.
Yeah.
But
that just seems like a straight shooter there. Like I'm just going to
yes.
tell you, don't get the corn chowder. It's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, she used the word disgusting. No exaggeration.
That's which is amazing to me.
Yeah. In that moment, I don't feel like I'm being upsold on the lettuce wraps. This feels like hey, I'm just looking out for you. Don't spend $8.95 on the corn chowder. You know what I mean? Like, not worth it. Yeah, and it's always interesting to me. Like, I feel like that's why I try to narrow it down because, like, I kind of know what I'm gonna want anyways. But I am surprised sometimes where, like, I will find myself pretty easily swayed once I narrow it down. Like, if I'm leaning towards, I'm gonna get the prime rib sandwich, with fries, but then also maybe this pasta sounds good. And they're like, oh no, the pasta's way better. Like it's super popular. I'm like, oh, I will often take that recommendation.
That makes sense. Because it's like, it's almost as if they're saying, I recognize that you're not familiar with this place. Let me tell you about the hidden gem. This is why people come. People come here for the rice pilaf. Like maybe you want the rice pilaf.
Yeah. We're known for our like beef
that.
stroganoff, and you need to get that with the side of this thing because that's what everybody loves.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. So it really boils down to like you can trust them 9 out of 10 times until you feel the pitch coming on, and you're like, this dude showed up late to the manager's meeting and is gonna try to sling some high margin items to like make up for being late.
Yeah,
I'm not here for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, their hot breakfast does certainly make up for it. Lots of free meats and make your own omelets. Totally customize your omelets up however you want them. French toast. They even go so far as having maple syrup and sugar-free syrup on top of all the baked goods and fruits and things that you could want.
My daughter said, I think probably one of the most beautiful ideas that I have ever heard. I was asking them if you could go, if you went to a hotel breakfast buffet and they had everything that you can imagine a breakfast buffet would have, they have it.
Mm-hmm.
What would your plate look like?
Mm-hmm.
She said waffle
mm-hmm.
with a pancake on top, with French toast on top.
Wow.
All three as a stack, not a stack of 3 pancakes, a waffle, a pancake, and a French toast. And I'm like, I have never even considered that.
Yeah.
and we're gonna like she needs to bump up a grade or something like that in school. That is the most genius thing I've ever heard. And I'm a breakfast guy, and I'm almost ashamed of myself for not thinking of that.
You know, they always say the American dream is your kids accomplishing more and dreaming bigger than you ever will.
Exactly.
And that just feels like she encapsulated that so perfectly in
I
that one
couldn't be
comment.
prouder. It was amazing. Um, Also, speaking of breakfast and make your own omelets, I think I've might have mentioned this before. Did I ever talk about a Taco Bell omelet relatively recently?
Yeah. You had leftover
Yeah,
something and you
a
made it.
leftover taco. So I
Yeah.
play this game with myself where leftover food that's in the fridge, typically from dinner the night before,
Okay.
often in the morning, I will play a game that I call Will It Omelet.
Mm.
And so the Taco Bell one, I took a Doritos Locos taco,
Hmm.
which, crunchy tacos are always bad out of the fridge.
Sure.
Burritos, I love a cold cheesy bean and rice burrito from Taco Bell.
Yes. You are speaking my love language.
As a matter of fact, I often would order an extra one to put in the fridge
Mhm.
for breakfast.
Yeah. Same.
But um, but the Doritos Locos taco, I chopped up, put it in an omelet, and it was amazing, which isn't a new experience for me. I've
Mhm.
done a lot of leftovers. This past week, we've had St. Patrick's Day. And for St. Patrick's Day, I cooked for the first time. I've never tried it. Uh, Corned beef and cabbage,
Okay.
which was a delightful little pot roast with flavors that I've never had out of a pot roast before. And it was very good. And I played Willet Omelet with that this morning,
Hmm.
and it was one of the better ones.
Really?
It was one of the better ones. Corned beef in an omelet. I feel like needs, especially since like corned beef hash exists, like
Hmm.
take corned beef hash, put it inside of an omelet.
You know, that does
And
kind of make sense. What would you say the closest, more common meat relative to corned beef is? Like if you had to pick a
maybe like a cross between regular roast beef and pastrami, maybe something like that.
yeah, that kind of so you're approaching like the almost like a steak and eggs kind of
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah. So corned beef, are you familiar with corned beef?
Yeah, I don't know that
It's
I've had much of it in my life. Like
it's
much
what's on a Reuben.
yeah, much to the shock of anybody who loves a good Reuben. I've probably had it, but it's been so long and probably not a really good one.
Yeah. It's typically known as like a lunch meat. You'd
Right.
get it sliced from the deli most of the time. Um, but as with a lot of deli beef based meats, it's a brisket that they're slicing from. Corned beef is a brisket that essentially has been like, I think, like slow smoked or maybe even cold smoked and then like brined, basically pickled in some very particular spices. So it doesn't taste like a pickle. It's not what it,
I
but
mean,
it
I wouldn't
has
be
it
mad
has its
at
own flavor, um and it turns it this glorious pink color, and then they heat it up and serve it, and it's delicious. I love corned beef. um I had never had one sliced off of a brisket. Like I bought a corned beef brisket and slow cooked it, and it was amazing. I've done pot roast omelets before, which are really really good, but this one, the flavor profile, for whatever reason, I felt like hit an omelet a little better than most. The texture on a regular roast beef omelet is a little better. The beef is a little softer, but um, it was good. And it got me thinking, very curious, because I'm very curious about omelets. I love making omelets, as we can
Mhm.
plainly tell. I've had some crazy leftover food. Omelets, another one of my favorites, is sauerkraut and big Bahama Mamas.
Mm.
Um, I've done like chopped up leftover pizza, especially if it's like a works pizza that has all the veggies in it. You got the veggies, cheese, meat. You've got omelet things right there already.
Yeah.
I've done like I've put pasta in an omelet before. I know I've done mac and cheese omelets, chili, leftover chili omelets are
Yeah.
always good. So I love playing this game of of Willet omelet. My kids came up with a really weird suggestion. I was like, I forget what it was. Now I don't remember. But it begs the question: have you ever tried a weird omelet? Is there anything in your memory, or even that you might have seen on a menu that's like, really? Or can you think of a crazy omelet that you'd be willing to try, or a particular leftover that now you're thinking would that this is kind of like the mythical kitchen question, right? The willet omelet.
What omelet? It's a great question, and it's funny because I'm now thinking about my dad, who multiple times in the last 6 months or a year has said, if I could only pick one meat to have for the rest of my life, I think I could probably pick eggs because they're so versatile. And it speaks to the crux of your question, and I agree. I'm starting to agree with him. I'd probably pick eggs. Have I ever had any crazy omelets? Was the first question. Probably not crazy. I mean, I'm going to always probably have stuff that's available at the omelet bar if I'm
Right.
selling, which
Okay.
in and of itself means it's not crazy. Have I ever saw one on a menu that I thought was crazy? Probably not seen one on a menu. Would I try things that are crazy? 1000%. So, I like what the first thing that popped into my head. I'd love to take good. This maybe isn't even that crazy, other than it's just not common on a menu. I'd love to take really good leftover biscuits and gravy
Mm,
and maybe some like home fries or hash browns and just dump it all on the omelet with some cheese.
yeah.
Um, Not crazy in the sense that it's breakfast, kind of crazy in the sense that I don't think I've ever seen it on a menu anywhere. Like biscuit, gravy, potato, even mashed potatoes with gravy, frankly,
Mm-hmm.
sounds really good with
Oh,
egg.
been there. Yeah.
I would
Mashed
totally,
potato omelets. Done that.
mashed potato and gravy would totally try that. I can't think of any kind of Mexican that I don't think would taste good. All of it just works with eggs.
Dude, every time
Meat,
I've tried a
rice,
lot of Southwest and Mexican omelets at restaurants, they all hit.
all good. Yeah. And you want to dump sour cream and salsa and guac on the end on the eggs, all works. Nothing in
Yeah.
there crazy. I another thing that popped in my head that would be interesting, some kind of like pesto or Alfredo pasta in
Mm,
an omelet, like chop up the noodles a little bit so they're not super chunky inside the omelet.
sure.
But I think the pesto would be really good in there. And you
Yeah.
do a little bit of like cheese on top, like Parmesan or ricotta or something just for funsies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I now I want to know some of your crazier ones because I want to know if I would, it's a bit of the smash or pass game again, like what I that we've played before with food. Would I smash whatever your crazy omelets are, or would I pass? I'm curious what some of the better weird ones.
Oh, I might have to come back with a list. I mean, there's some. It's almost at this point like if you name what I've had for dinner, and I thought that it might
Yeah.
it might be okay, then I've done it. I like a meatloaf omelet. I've done that.
Oh, I'm sure that with like the glaze on top, like the
Well, I don't have like glaze on the side, but yeah, there's glaze like on the
are
meatloaf that I'm
already
putting
on.
in there.
Yeah. What about I'll throw out some options and
Yeah.
I want you to not just agree to agree, but like, would you actually be interested in trying it? If somebody like dumped like a half a can of SpaghettiOs and SpaghettiOs with meatballs in an omelet, would you
Oh,
from a can? Would you
I
try?
think too wet. I'd have to figure out a way to maybe on top of an omelet.
You
I could
try it on top.
see I would try it on top. I don't think I would even attempt to try to like wrap SpaghettiOs up into an omelet. But
What about if the omelet was on top and you like cut down into the omelet and scooped SpaghettiOs and meatballs out with it? Would you do that?
uh sure, I would do that. Like I know that I've done hot dog omelets before.
Okay.
I could do like a hot dog omelet on top of SpaghettiOs or SpaghettiOs on top of a hot dog omelet. Um I could totally do that. And most of my omelets, by the way, include American cheese. It's usually
Sure.
leftovers plus American cheese because that's what you need in that kind of application.
Yeah.
Um,
What about some kind of meat lo mein? Would you do like a chicken or a beef or a shrimp lo mein?
yeah, yeah, probably. I've never done lo mein, although I've done like General Tso's before,
Yeah.
and that works.
You know what actually
Um,
sounds really good now? The filling of crab rangoon, but like a layer of
oh
that in an egg. Sounds, it doesn't even need, but maybe you could do crispy wontons on top, but then the goo in the middle would be really good. I
yeah,
feel like you need a
yeah.
crab rangoon omelet now.
You know, I've had an omelet with seafood involved, actually a handful of times, but there's one time at we were staying at the Hyatt in San Diego, and it was a fancy Hyatt, which meant that breakfast was not free.
Yeah, sure.
But it was an all you can eat buffet if you paid for it. And we we went there, I think, on our first morning, and they had an omelet bar with just like normal toppings and stuff, normal fillings. But they also had a special omelet for each day of the week.
Mm.
And I saw on there that they do a lobster omelet on, like, let's say Thursdays. And this is like Tuesday or something, or Monday. And we had already decided that, like, we're only going to do this breakfast once, and then we're going to like do our own thing because it's expensive. And I saw that and I was like, we need to come back on Thursday.
We're gonna stay another night.
We're gonna, we need to, we're gonna, so we did. And it was a wonderful experience. I had a lobster omelet that was absolutely delectable. So yeah, totally seafood, shellfish,
Yeah.
and an omelet.
Here's a little bit of Ohio. What you know how they do, like people are doing, the trend is like the chopped sandwiches where they'll
Yeah,
take all the ingredients and whatever. Would you do
ridiculous.
that?
Yeah.
Would you do that with a chopped skyline chili? Would you take the whole thing? The chili, the cheese,
Yeah,
the onions, the noodles, the dog, like all.
yeah. I've never had leftover skyline chili, but yeah,
To be honest, it doesn't normally make it to the next day.
I would definitely
Um,
do that.
That's not normally a problem. Yeah. So I think the skyline could be really good. The chili with the cheese, the noodles are
Mhm.
just kind of blend in. I don't think that's,
Right.
you're gonna not even
And
really.
it's in an egg wrap, right? And so, like, it's not like a carb on carb kind of thing, because I'm not a big fan of, like, I don't like fries in my burrito or on top of my Permane Brothers sandwiches, and so, like, I don't do that when I'm in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Um, but totally, like, carbs and an omelet, I'm all for.
Yeah. What about like your country fried steak with some gravy on it? Would you chop that up and throw it in
Absolutely.
the omelet? That just feels like it works. That feels like
That does just work. And gravy on an omelet I've had before, which is always good.
crap. Now I'm hungry. Okay. So great question. So it turns out virtually everything will omelet.
Just about. Oh, here is the suggestion. One dish that I make that my family, my kids really like, is I make a lemon pasta, a lemon spaghetti.
Mm, mm.
They told me I should do that, and I was like, I don't see, for I don't know what it is. It lemon in omelet to me just doesn't seem like I like. That's not something that's not on the list of things. It's not on the short list of things that I probably would not even bother making.
I don't even know if you could go in at the end and make everything but the lemon itself and just do a squeeze of lemon on top. I don't even know if that would work.
It wouldn't.
I don't.
I don't see putting lemon on an omelet
I don't know.
whatsoever.
So now you have an ingredient that you're gonna have to try to make it work in some way, shape, or form. Figure out what
Right.
lemon could go in that could complement. Uh,
Yeah. But I mean, like, the lemon is like, it's in the dish, right? I'm not going to extract the lemon from the lemon pasta.
well, I was suggesting maybe, but I understand that that would seem silly because that's
I'd have to, like,
it's no
rinse the
longer lemon
pasta. So
pasta.
now it's just spaghetti noodles.
Yeah. And I don't know that you can really go down the sweet road at all. Like that pretty much kills. Not not
Yeah.
not
With
in
the
any
exception
specific
of, like,
way.
Chinese food or something. But
I think the crab rangoon, something cream cheese kind of based, is probably about the limit. I'm really intrigued by the crab rangoon filling with wonton strips on top for an omelet now.
that sounds good.
That feels really interesting. Okay, well, I'm super hungry now and it's nighttime and I can't eat. So here we are.
Here
Well,
we are.
speaking of here we are at a great place to take a moment to hear from some of our friends in Odd Pods Media. Check them out.
Greetings, fellow nerds. It's Garrett, your host of the Nodak Nerd, part of Odd Pods Media, the podcast where we explore the vast realms of geekdom. From the latest superhero flicks to retro video games and everything in between, we've got you covered. Join me for insightful reviews, hilarious discussions, and maybe even a few heated debates. Find the Nodak Nerd wherever you listen to podcasts. Let's get nerdy.
All right, so here's another thing while we were traveling. We, a group of us, I don't know, 10 or 11 of us, went into a Chick-fil-A, right? No problem, them taking care of a large group quickly. We go inside, we're going to eat inside. We order inside super fast. They bring our food. They keep checking on us. They keep coming around asking about refills and making sure our order's right. Super great experience.
Chick-fil-A stuff, yeah.
Chick-fil-A stuff, they're known for that. Here's the thing, though. In our hunger and fervor to get everything at our multiple tables accurate, which the two tables to split everybody up to make the room and the seats make sense, kind of helped create this problem. People were grabbing things out of like the condiments and utensils and napkins to put on both tables. Well, multiple people did that.
Yeah.
And way too many things on our table at the end, including but not limited to Chick-fil-A sauce, mayonnaise, ketchup, whatever. Partially because at checkout, I happened to still be standing there, and the guy said, "Do you guys want sauce?" And I said, "Yes, like lots of Chick-fil-A sauce." Because I thought there's a bunch of us, we're going to use it.
Right, yeah.
Sitting at the end, way too much stuff left. And I feel like what's now nagging me is it's a little bit of that, like, what are you supposed to do in this situation? I don't want to be wasteful.
Right.
Just because I didn't pay for that doesn't mean that I think it's okay to just pitch it.
Right.
I'm 3.5 hours from home, 4 hours from home. I don't want to put it all in my car and take the sauces home. I don't feel comfortable just putting the things back in the little table shelving area with condiments because I'm like, I don't know how everyone feels about they aren't open, but like they were on our table, we were eating, we touched them. So now I'm really curious and I kind of want to know. One person in the group happens to know several people that work there. This exact location, like they're friends with them. So I said, "Hey, if you see one of your friends, if you're willing, send him over. I have a question." So one of them walked by. She sent this person over, and I said, "Hey, I kind of have a silly question for you. I don't know what to do. What is Chick-fil-A etiquette in this situation? Where to give listeners a sense, I'm easily sitting on 8 to 10 ketchups, not the thin cheap." Ketchup packets either. They have the nice peel ones.
Right. They have the thick. You got option packets.
Yeah. Easily 8 or 10 of those, 5 or 6 packets of mayonnaise, at least 5 or 6 Chick-fil-A sauces, 4 or 5 utensils wrapped in plastic. The napkins are kind of a loss. I feel like I'm not really worried about the napkins so much. It is what it is. But I'm like, I don't know what to do here. Should I put them back to tidy up? Do you want me to, should I throw them away? Do you have a way to clean? Like if I leave them on the table, all sealed in a nice pile, do you guys wipe them off? I don't want to make a mess. I don't want to be wasteful. I don't want to put them back. That might be gross. I don't know what to do here. And to clarify, I think this answer only applies to Chick-fil-A because I can't imagine most fast food restaurants really give a crap, if I'm being honest.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not knocking the workers. I'm just saying it's slightly.
They're going to end up at the trash can if you leave them on the table.
Slightly elevated experience at Chick-fil-A, just slightly above the other ones, right? So the guy's so nice because he doesn't know me, and I've prefaced this by saying like, "Hey, silly question. I'm just curious," trying to make it lighthearted. And God bless this guy. He went into such PR mode to answer my question and be so quiet. He's like, "Thank you for your question and asking. That's so thoughtful." Well, actually, I don't know if you know this, but Chick-fil-A's like ours often have over by that particular trash can in our restaurant a small metal truck that sits on top of the trash can. And it has a little Chick-fil-A logo on it. You can actually take it was like a pre-recorded PR response. You can actually take any leftover condiments you don't use, put them in the small truck on the thing. We will gently sanitize them. And if we feel like we can put them back out, we will once they're sanitized. Thank you so much for your question. It was so,
wow.
So like you're not getting that response most places, but it did really answer the question. And then as soon as I got the answer, I was happy to do it and I ended up doing it. But then I did have that thought, which I just set up like, I don't think this applies anywhere else.
No
No one else. No one else has a bin. No one, and I don't even mean how the response is worded. I just mean nobody else has a bin. I, it, I, I find it to be a bit of a stretch. No criticism to anybody else. This is more of a pro Chick-fil-A thing than a criticism of it. I find it to be a stretch that any other restaurant is going to take the time to gently sanitize. Now, maybe he was full of it. Some people might be listening like he's full of it. They're going to wait till it's
He
cleared
made
up
that up.
and just go shove them back in all the bins, and who cares? I don't think he was. And now I feel a little bit compelled to ask at every other fast food restaurant I go into. I
Yeah.
got a question for you. If I have excess sauces and utensils that are sealed, wrapped, unused, what do I do?
Yeah. I mean, I think the answer that we all probably know is just throw it away.
I know.
Because I too, in that situation, specifically at a Chick-fil-A, not quite the overstock that you had, but normally I just leave it on the table. Like I make sure the table looks nice and clean before we get up and go.
Right.
And they're still over next to the napkin dispenser or whatever. I just kind of like put them right there and walk away. And I'm just hoping for the best at that point, right? Because I'm not taking it with me, because for me that's clutter and I don't want clutter.
Yeah.
So I'm not taking it with me. I'm not going to put it in my glove box. No offense to anybody who would. And I'm not, it feels bad to throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do that knowing that like if an employee comes here and starts cleaning tables, I know that they're just going to grab a hold of it and toss it.
Yeah, probably.
At Chick-fil-A, apparently they don't. They have a policy that bin is probably there for the employee who's out there wiping down tables to like, hey, put the leftover sauces over here. It saves the company a little bit of money when you do that. I can see that being a policy, but you know, McDonald's, Burger King, anywhere else, they're just going to throw it away. I don't necessarily begrudge them for doing so, but if I sat down at a table and I saw perfectly good, obviously unopened, I'm going to squeeze the ketchup packet a little bit to make sure that like no air comes out.
Yeah.
But like, I'm going to use that ketchup instead of getting up to get the ketchup that I forgot to grab.
Really? You would use it?
I would.
Leftover?
I would use the ketchup that I found at the table because I know that I have left ketchup on the table, and I would assume that that's what somebody did. They just didn't want to throw it away. Everything else was already cleaned up. So they're not the kind of person that just leaves their trash behind. They just left ketchup behind that they didn't use and didn't want to toss.
See, that feels condimentally non-committal. It feels like I just have to pick. I have to pick one way or the other. I'm either Now, you said I don't begrudge anyone who takes it home, or however you phrase it. I'm that person if I'm near my home.
Okay.
But let's be honest, there's a hierarchy of sauces, right?
Right. Yeah.
So if I'm staring at a pile of 6 Chick-fil-A sauces and I'm 20 minutes from my house, I'm just going to throw them in the cup holder in my car and take them home and throw them in the drawer.
Yeah.
I'm going to use them at some point because that's a more coveted sauce on the hierarchy of sauces than other sauce. If it's a Hunt's ketchup packet that's not the nice squeeze one, I'm 100% throwing that in the trash if I'm done with it. And if I come in after you who's left ketchup on the table, I'm throwing it away and getting a fresh ketchup because I'm not going to pick up the table ketchup sauces that are left over, and I'm not going to use them. I'm like, gross. Somebody left them.
The only potential gross thought there is that somebody else's fingers touched my packet, and
they could be germy.
But by picking it up and throwing it away, you then touched the packet.
I know. But something about it just feels better that it wasn't. It's fear of the unknown. Some little
Dillon's looking for hypodermic needle holes in the ketchup packet.
Some little darling angel cherub of a child could have, without really thinking much, shoved their hands down into their diaper and then touched that ketchup packet and then played with it and then left it on the table.
And then you picked it up and threw it away.
And then I'm going to go wash my hands or sanitize my hands.
Are you?
And go get fresh ones. Probably. I probably am.
Okay.
I just am not, or I'm gonna use my arm, the part of my arm that doesn't touch food, and like shove it away over to the edge of
Okay.
the table,
Yeah.
or like a wrapper or a napkin. I that feels like a little bit like getting the paper towel on the way out of the bathroom and using it to touch the bathroom handle, and then holding the door open with your foot and balling it up and throwing the paper towel in the trash. That feels like that move. Like I'm not going to touch the leftover things on the table. I'm going to use
Yeah.
something else to touch it so I don't have to touch it. I'm not using the ketchup.
But I feel like the mystery packet left on the table when you sat down is still a safer option than using the like 1,000-time refilled bottle of ketchup at the diner.
It may be. I don't remember the last time I saw a diner bottle. Maybe like the sit down restaurant squeeze one, if that's what
Yeah.
you're referring to. I just don't want
Same thing.
I don't want your crusty old table ketchup. You know what I mean? I'm not interested. I can't. That's why I needed to know at Chick-fil-A, what am I supposed to do here? Because
Yeah.
I feel compelled to do something. It's got to clear somehow. I need to either throw it away or take it home or put it back.
But listen, even the glass bottle of Heinz ketchup that's sitting at the table at the restaurant, that probably is not a fresh bottle. It's been refilled. I've seen them
Probably.
do it.
Do people use the bottles anymore where you can dump stuff in? I feel like it's all,
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe the squeeze ones, they're just pulling the cap off and dumping stuff in.
I think they are.
I don't
think they are.
want to think about stuff like that.
And who knows how many people have like touched the tip of the bottle to their burger that they already have been eating off of.
Gross. You're ruining food,
See,
Kendall. I don't
mystery packet isn't so bad.
I mean, there is some value to the fact that it's sealed. I'll give you that. Maybe if I open it and then squeeze it out and then go wash my hands, at least it hasn't
Maybe.
touched other people's air germs before it made it to my food.
Just cause I know there are some people who are like borderline germaphobes, and if a thought crosses their mind, they have to deal with it, but they're just thankful that the thought doesn't always cross their mind.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I probably just pushed somebody over the edge to like, now when they go to a diner, they're gonna like grab the ketchup bottle, squeeze it next to their French fries, set it down, and think, "Oh shoot, I need to go wash my hands. I just touched the ketchup bottle."
I just shuddered at the thought. Not joking. I actually shuddered. This is the definition of ignorance is bliss. Like, I'd rather just not, I can pretend in my head. At the end of the day, there are table clearers like me, and there are table leaverers like you. And I don't know. At least I asked the question, and
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A gave me an answer.
I appreciate that you did.
And now I
but-
feel compelled to ask at like Taco Bell and McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King. I never go to Burger King. I'll ask at the other ones.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to have to figure out the answer and report back because I'm really curious. If other people know, I'd be fascinated. I think that you have to also, if you're going to ask the question or if you're going to chime in, reach out to us on our socials. You can DM us or email us or text us or call us and leave a voicemail, whatever. You have to address, if you're going to answer, you have to address the hierarchy of the value of sauces. So I would need somebody to say, I put no value in any of the sauces. I would never keep any of them. Or I would want somebody to say, oh, I'll definitely keep McDonald's sweet, whatever
Sweet and sour.
Sweet and
It's
sour.
the best thing going at
I
McDonald's.
would definitely keep Chick-fil-A's sauce, and I would definitely keep whatever, Wendy's spicy buffalo, whatever. I would keep those, but if it's like a ketchup packet, I'm just pitching them.
Mhm.
Because I also grew up where there were times where we were squeezing all the extra ketchup packets, but into our own bottle at home because there's so much ketchup left. And so I'm sure some people are like, oh, I hoard sauces. I'll take them home. We'll use them all eventually. There's those people. I know they exist. We live in blue collar America. I know those.
Absolutely. I grew up in that household
Yeah.
that like we had packets of everything inside of a particular drawer
Yeah.
in our kitchen.
Yeah. I only keep the sauces now on the higher end of the sauce hierarchy. I'm not keeping I'm not keeping rando buttermilk ranch from some restaurant. It ain't happening. I'm pitching it. But stuff like Chick-fil-A sauce, my wife likes a sweet and sour sauce in the nuggets, stuff like that. I'm gonna keep the better sauces.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple Taco Bell sauce packets, just to have in my back pocket.
I totally understand that. I can get it. There's none that I personally keep. For me, like I said, it's like a clutter simplicity thing to just like not keep sauces. But I understand it. If there were sauces that I would keep, like McDonald's sweet and sour sauce is number one on my list.
Yeah. Well, you just have to know what matters to you in the world and what doesn't. And if that's on the list for you, I understand.
Yeah.
I tend to do that with like I'll keep places that have really good like homemade ranch or good ranch, like the little 2-ounce cups with a lid, or like extra cane sauce. I'll keep those for like a week, and just we get pizza, I'll use the ranch, or if we cook some chicken or something, I'll use the cane sauce. Even if it's chicken from another place, I'll keep some of those. So,
yeah. Worst case scenario, if it's been a while, you throw it away. But
yeah, you just chuck it. Yeah, but at least you made an effort to like throw it on stuff. My daughter
had it there just in case, and just in case never happened, and that's okay too.
That's okay. My daughter's when she packs her lunch for school, her preferred sandwich is whatever deli meat we have, turkey, ham, whatever, with a little bit of cheese on a King's Hawaiian roll. But she always wants Chick-fil-A sauce.
Yeah.
Never wants mustard or ketchup or any other condiment or plain. She always wants a little Chick-fil-A. So like that one we'll always use in our house. It's just a matter of time. So anyways,
you can buy a bottle of it and put it in your fridge.
I do. I have some, but then I also know I can rotate. I can rotate.
Yeah.
Extra packets, because if I'm 30 minutes from home and have 6 extra sauces, clearly I'm not throwing it away. At least I know I can look for the little metal truck at Chick-fil-A, and now you know too.
Yes.
And maybe we can all waste a little bit less sauce.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. What else is going on with you, man? I dominated with corn chowder and Chick-fil-A sauce.
Well, I dominated with weird omelets, but speaking of weird things, and I'm pulling up an article to reference here. I read in the AP about this sport, if you want to call it that. There's a town in England, Ashbourne, England, where they play a game known as Royal Shrovetide.
Shrovetide?
Shrovetide. Royal Shrovetide.
Okay.
And it is described as an ancient form of soccer, but it has very little to do with actual soccer other than it involves a round ball.
Okay.
And what they do in this town every year, this game is 2 days long. It's the people from the south side of town versus the people from the north side of town.
Okay.
Everybody. So they quarter off streets, and the quote unquote court is 3 miles wide, 3 miles long. And it ends like it, and inside of this quartered off area of the town, there's like rivers and streams and roads and bridges and all sorts of things. There's only but a few rules, apparently, one of which is no murder. So there's no murdering.
Important rule, sure.
And what they do, so that this ball, there's one ball. The object of the game is to get the ball all the way to this marked post that's on, and there's one on either end of the area, and you have to touch the ball to it 3 times. And if you do that, that counts as a goal. And if a goal is scored, then they start over. And so everybody, hundreds of people, meet at the middle of the street, in the middle of the playing area, and it's just like a mob scene. There's no uniforms. There's nothing showing which team you're for. So there's a little bit of strategy that you could play there, trying to fool people into thinking you're on the other team or whatever. And then somebody just throws the ball into the middle of this angry mob. And it starts. You can push, shove, kick, punch, probably like just no murder.
Sure.
And they put up signs in advance to say, hey, maybe don't park here because your car is going to get destroyed if you do.
Yeah.
And it goes. And you've got people like they'll set up bleachers at the tops of buildings, but like the actual businesses below have like bordered up all of their stuff so that they don't get broken windows and things. But people are like on top of buildings and on the second, third story, hanging out of the windows, like cheering for the north or for the south, and trying to watch people just asking, do you know where the ball is? No, I don't see it. Oh, I think it's over there. Oh, I don't know. And it's just crazy. 3 miles wide. Like, and so they play this game for 2 days, and for 2 days they play this game. And apparently like last year, I forget if the North or South won, but the score was 1-0.
Wow.
That was the final score. And there'll be moments where like the ball, people just knew it was like somewhere in this parking garage. And because like that's where the bulk of the mob was. So apparently that's where the ball is. But like nobody knew exactly where the ball was for like 45 minutes. It was just like in there somewhere and among this mob. But like it took 45 minutes for it to even get out of the parking garage. And all sorts of strategy that you hear about that like they're interviewing people. Somehow there's this one family that like traditionally through the generations has been so good at it that they have multiple generations of people scoring goals in this game. And they're like, you need to have the big, rough, tough guys in the middle. And they're kind of like hunched over trying to secretly, it's like one person's acting like they're hunched over the ball, but really it's over here. And they're quietly trying to sneak pass it to each other, trying to get it to the outside to a runner. And apparently one time a runner was able to hide the fact that he had the ball so well, and that the crew in the middle was able to hide the fact that they didn't have the ball so well that he ran for like 1.5 miles before anybody ever even caught up to him, because nobody suspected that guy.
Now, when you say multiple miles, is this like a square shape or a long?
No, it's just like in the town.
It's just the middle.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could do it in downtown Columbus right now. Just quarter off like about a 3 mile stretch. That's like also probably very, very wide, like probably multiple blocks wide. And just say this, like you would probably say something like all of Short North is the playing field.
That's crazy.
And people like diving into rivers with the ball, throwing it in and out of the river. That's another strategy that I had heard about. So you've got like some of your team is like running through the river. Others are up on the banks on either side and you're throwing it in and out, trying to. So that's a sport. Royal Shrovetide. That I have never heard about before.
This is why we need ESPN the Ocho.
Exactly.
This is why it should exist to like, hey, the one time a year that Shrovetide is on, we're going to air it for 2 days straight nonstop. And that's
amen, brother. I am behind that.
Unless it's like the Super Bowl is on or like some other major event like the national championship, it's going to be on. We're going to put all these other things on that are happening.
Yeah. I want to see this stuff live with people who can give you inside information. Like get the generations of the guys who scored this goal, get them on there as color commentary.
Yeah, I want the great grandpa.
I don't.
87 years old going, now here's a technique that we invented in the 40s called,
Yeah. This game's been going on since at least the 1600s.
That's
in this
wild.
town.
That's wild.
And I've never heard of it, and I wish that I had, and I wish that it was on TV. Like there's other things that we hear about that other towns do, right? Like the cheese roll, like a cheese rolling down the hill and people running after. We've all heard about that story, but we've never watched it live.
Yeah.
I want to watch it live. And if you did get to see some of it, it's because it was on like the morning news and a quick little 30-second clip the next day. Like, no, like we need to market these things, and we need to put them on the Ocho. And I would watch a lot of that stuff live. That'd be fascinating.
Somebody call YouTube to have them come down and tape this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But seriously, in the age of like, I wonder this often with like churches and schools and things. Like, you need a single phone. You don't even have to have a mount, but let's say you buy a $10 camera mount for a phone on Amazon and internet with Facebook Live. That's it.
Well, that is, I mean, in my guess is there's people out there doing that for some of this stuff, but I want production is what I want. Like it's
If Kirk
like we talked about like
isn't there talking about Shrovetide, then this is all for naught.
Yeah, I want Shrovetide films out there.
Yeah.
But like we talked about last year, like there was a conflict. I had one son who was in a soccer game while the other one was in a baseball game at the same time, and I was able to watch the baseball game because of the app that we have. And usually each team has a parent who's in charge of streaming, and so you go to the app and you can watch the game, and it shows you names and previous plays and things, just like you're watching like the Watch Live feature on like Yahoo Sports app or something like that.
Yeah,
just like that. And so I got to watch my boy at bat on my phone while my other boy is on the soccer field. Like it was really cool to be able to do that. Just kick that up a notch and could do that with all of these things. It's just, it needs to get marketed because I would love to watch the next edition of Royal Shrovetide.
Yeah, I need 30 for 30 Shrovetide, Thou Shalt Not Murder. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that's what I want to see, the full hour 20-minute, hour 40-minute documentary that gives us the whole thing. Give me the story. I want black and white images from the little small town museum that's like one guy in an old house that got converted to the local museum, and he's got like, well, here's a book of photos from the 1798 match that started the Great War of, whatever. Like, I want that guy that can give me the backslog, and then the 87-year-old grandpa who's like, oh, I invented this maneuver to help score. And
exactly.
I want that.
Especially with like AI wouldn't lose track of where the ball went, right? And so
I think so.
Like I feel like they could do this, and even if there are slow times, I mean a 1-0 game over the course of 2 days, and you're just getting tired of watching this crazy angry mob, that is when you say, hey, if we see something, we'll come back. But for now, let's check out the museum over here.
Yeah.
And let's learn about what we're seeing.
Yes.
I'd be making a docu-series every year.
Yeah. There's like
totally
some guy who's like the caterer for both teams before it starts, and like each side is peppering to try to get intel on what the other side is planning. He's like, I can't ever say anything. They make me sign an NDA.
Are you north or are you south?
Yeah, exactly. Psst, I always help the South, kind of thing. Like there's got to be a whole build up and narrative around this. I mean, it's always the people stories anyways, right? That like that really draw people out, oh, here's this college football athlete who's, fourth cousin once got injured in a arcade accident and, vowed that he would win the national championship because his cousin suffered at the hands of Tetris. Like, there's always that. It's the human interest story. So it's such an easy angle. Well, I'm all in on Shrovetide. So when that live stream starts, I'm here for it.
Me too. And it also makes me wonder, like, England is a smaller country, obviously, than we are just geographically. But this was the very first time that I've ever heard of it. I'm curious if people in England that aren't from this town, how aware of this they are.
Oh, yeah.
Or if they're all very aware of it. Or if to them it's like, like the cheese chase thing, where it's like, we all kind of know what it is, but we don't really pay attention.
Yeah. I want to know if that you ask anywhere else outside of that town, you're like, oh, the Shrovetide people. Yeah, we know.
We don't let them live here.
We know. I wonder if it's that kind of thing. Like how we would joke about West Virginia or Kentucky. Like,
right.
Oh,
you know what's really going on inside of those huddles, which they call it a hug, by the way.
Sure they do. Yeah. A wink. Yeah, I get it.
There's some New Zealand jokes probably to mind.
The huddles are a little bit tighter and warmer from the South Side folks. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm tracking. Well, that feels like a great place to maybe call this one for the week. The Shrovetide match is over. There were no murders. You feel good, Kendall?
I feel good.
Awesome. Well, and speaking of people we don't want to murder, head over to Artius Man. That's ARTIUSMAN.com. They're our partners. Really, really cool Columbus, Ohio business. They make really great products, beard oils and bathroom stuff for men, some stuff for women too. And there's candles, there's all kinds of stuff. So go check it out. Father's Day is going to be here before you know it. Use promo code The Middle. You'll save 25% off your first order. Any futures or orders will get kind of linked to us. So you get great products. We get a little bit, they get a little bit. And it's a win, 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 like 10 wins. There's so many wins. Everyone's winning. So go do that. You'll really love the products. They make really, really, truly great stuff. The owners are really good people. And it's always great to support some of those small businesses. With that, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of From the Middle. Send it to your best friends and your worst enemies. And if nothing else, maybe we can all get along a little bit better over some laughs once the Shrovetide match is over. Peace.